I used to think the pain in my knees was just old age catching up, but then I changed one thing, just one, in my diet. And within weeks, I started walking easier. No pills, no new gadgets, just food. The kind most of us overlook every day. If walking without pain feels like a dream, stay with me. Because what I'm about to share isn't a miracle. It's backed by science, and it might just bring your freedom back. Framing the problem. Most people think pain in the knees, hips, or lower back is just part of getting older. That it's something you have to live with, like gray hair or reading glasses. I thought so too. Every morning, I'd wake up and just lie there for a while, bracing myself before I stood up. My legs felt like they belonged to someone else. Stiff, heavy, unforgiving. Walking to the kitchen felt like a chore. Getting up from a chair meant grabbing onto the armrest and pushing with both hands. And here's the thing. I wasn't lazy. I wasn't careless. I just didn't know what was happening inside me. It wasn't until I came across a medical article, something about low-grade chronic inflammation, that it clicked. See, inflammation is your body's defense system. It helps you heal. But when it never turns off when it becomes chronic, it starts to damage you instead. The joints, they become stiff. The muscles, they ache. The energy, it drops. And here's the kicker. This kind of inflammation often starts in gut, driven by what you eat. Things like added sugars, refined carbs, processed oils, even common foods we've been told are harmless. They can quietly fuel this internal fire. I never thought cereal or toast could be part of the problem. I mean, I grew up on that stuff. But I figured, what do I have to lose? So I made a few small changes. Swapped the cereal for something with more fiber. Replaced the white bread with something less processed. Added in a few things I hadn't eaten in years. And you know what? Within 2 weeks, my knees weren't cracking as loudly. I could walk farther without that dragging sensation. My legs didn't feel like anchors anymore. No new prescription, no expensive gadget, just food. That's when I realized the fork might be just as powerful as a pharmacy. And if you're watching this, thinking it's too late or too hard, I'm telling you, it's not. Even small changes can bring big relief. And I'm going to show you where to start. The first food, omega-3 rich foods. Let's start with something simple. If I could go back and add one thing to my meals years earlier, it would be this, omega-3s. You probably heard of them, maybe on a supplement bottle or in a heart health ad. But here's what they don't tell you. Omega-3s are one of the best natural tools for easing joint pain. They don't just support your heart, they help calm inflammation throughout your body. And if you've got aching knees, stiff hips, or pain that lingers when you walk, that inflammation is what's turning every step into a struggle. Now, science backs this up. Research shows that omega-3s reduce levels of something called C-reactive protein, a key marker for inflammation. Lower CRP, less stiffness, less pain. In one study from the Journal of Pain, people with chronic arthritis took omega-3s daily, and within weeks, more than half of them reduced or even stopped their pain medication. That's not marketing, that's biology. So where to get them? The best sources are cold water fish, salmon, grilled, canned, smoked, however you like it. Sardines, on toast or with crackers, rich and satisfying. Mackerel, great in sandwiches or salads. Anchovies, yes, even on pizza. A little goes a long way. Not into fish? No problem. Plant-based options include chia seeds, stir them into oatmeal or yogurt. Flax seeds, blend into smoothies or sprinkle over cereal. Walnuts, keep a handful near the TV instead of cookies. Omega, 3 eggs, same as regular eggs, just better for your joints. Here's how I started. Lunch, a salmon salad with olive oil and lemon. Breakfast, scrambled omega, 3 eggs and sautéed spinach. Snack, walnuts with a slice of apple. Small steps, big change. But, and this is important, if you're still loading up on processed foods, sugary drinks, or fried snacks, you're pouring fuel on the fire. Omega-3s can undo the damage if every meal includes white bread, canola oil, or soda. So it's not just about what you add, it's also about what you start letting go. Now, I'm not saying give up everything you love. I'm saying shift the balance. Trade chips for walnuts. Trade sugary cereal for a flax-filled smoothie. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Because when you eat in a way that tells your body, I want you to heal, your body listens. Leafy greens, nature's joint rebuilder. Now, let's talk about something so simple, so familiar, that most people overlook it. Leafy greens, spinach, kale, collard greens, arugula, Swiss chard, even the humble romaine. These aren't just salad fillers, they're quiet healers. These greens are packed with vitamin K, which plays a critical role in maintaining healthy cartilage and bone. Without enough of it, your joints lose structural support and pain creeps in. They're also rich in magnesium, which helps your muscles relax and your nerves function properly. And here's the kicker. Most older adults are deficient in magnesium, especially if you've taken antacids, diuretics, or blood pressure meds for years. But maybe most importantly, greens are filled with phytonutrients, plant-based compounds that help cool the silent inflammation attacking your joints from the inside. Think of greens as your body's gentle cleanup crew, sweeping away inflammation before it builds into stiffness or pain. And here's what I love about them. They're easy. You don't need to overhaul your whole plate. You can start like I did. Add a handful of spinach into scrambled eggs. It shrinks as it cooks. Toss baby arugula onto a sandwich instead of just lettuce. Stir chopped kale into soups or stews. It softens and soaks up flavor. Or go simple. Warm wilted greens with garlic and olive oil. I used to avoid greens, thought they were bitter, thought they were extra, but now I look at them differently. They're not a side dish. They're joint support in disguise. And here's a gentle truth I had to learn. If you want to keep walking without pain, if you want to bend, stretch, garden, chase grandkids, or just get out of a chair without wincing, your joints need the building blocks to do their job. You can't give them nothing and expect them to stay strong. Every bite of leafy greens is like casting a vote, not just for health, but for independence. So even if you've never been a salad person, maybe it's time to become a mobility person, because food isn't just fuel. It's a quiet form of self-respect. Berries, tiny fruits, big protection. Now here's something that feels more like a treat than medicine. Berries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, even tart cherries. These small fruits are loaded with antioxidants, natural compounds that help repair and protect your cells from damage. You probably heard of free radicals, those unstable molecules that build up as we age or from stress, poor diet, and pollution. Free radicals are like little sparks flying around inside your body, landing on your joints and muscles, slowly wearing them down. But berries, they're the built-in fire extinguisher. Specifically, they contain something called anthocyanins, that deep red, blue, or purple pigment, which lowers inflammation and supports joint tissue health. In one study from the Journal of Nutrition, people who ate berries regularly had significantly lower levels of C-reactive protein, a key inflammation marker linked to arthritis and joint pain. That means less stiffness, fewer aches, more movement. But here's what makes berries even better. They're easy. No cooking, no prep, no rules. Just open a bag of frozen berries and pour some over your oatmeal. Blend a few into a smoothie. Toss them in a salad with spinach and walnuts. You don't need a perfect diet. You just need a few smart habits. I remember one morning, sitting at the table with a bowl of plain yogurt, blueberries, and chia seeds, and realizing something I hadn't felt in a while. I felt good, not just full, not just less stiff, but nourished. Berries were one of the first foods that gave me a sense of control back. When the body aches, when your legs don't move like they used to, it's easy to feel powerless. But when you start giving your body what it needs, even just a few spoonfuls at a time, you start to feel like you're participating in your own healing. That's not just nutrition, that's dignity. So if you're wondering where to begin, start sweet, start small, start with berries. Turmeric, the golden anti-inflammatory. If there's one thing sitting in my kitchen that feels like medicine, but doesn't come in a bottle, it's turmeric. That golden yellow spice, it's more than flavor, it's relief. The secret lies in curcumin, turmeric's main active ingredient. And here's what's incredible. Curcumin has been shown to block the exact same inflammatory pathways targeted by pain medications, but without the gut damage, blood pressure spikes, or long-term side effects. In fact, a study in the journal Phytotherapy Research found that people with arthritis who took curcumin daily saw just as much pain relief as those who took ibuprofen, but with fewer complaints about stomach upset. That made me pause, because for years, I reached for pills. They worked until they didn't. Then I started trying turmeric, not expecting much. But within 2 weeks, something shifted. My hands weren't as swollen. I wasn't bracing against the wall every time I got off the couch. I could kneel again, not for long, not perfectly, but enough to remind me that my body hadn't given up. It was just waiting for support, and turmeric gave it that. Now here's the thing most people miss. Turmeric works best when paired with black pepper. Pepper contains a compound called piperine, which increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. So always use them together. It's a small detail that makes a big difference. You don't need to cook exotic meals or go to specialty stores. Here's how I sneak it into everyday life. Stir half a teaspoon into scrambled eggs or veggie stir fry. Add it to soups or lentils. It blends right in. Whisk it into a cup of warm almond milk with black pepper and cinnamon. Some call it golden milk. Or toss it with cauliflower or potatoes before roasting. And if you're not into cooking, you can find curcumin capsules. Just make sure they include black pepper extract. But I'll be honest, there's something powerful about getting your healing from food. When you open your spice cabinet and see something that helps you move again, that's not just flavor, that's freedom. Because every time you eat with intention, every time you choose turmeric over Tylenol, you're sending a message to your body. I'm not giving up. I'm still in this fight. And that might be the strongest medicine of all. Bone broth, fuel for joints that want to heal. Now, let's talk about something old-fashioned, nourishing, and quietly powerful. Bone broth, not a trend, not a health fad, just the kind of food our grandparents made without calling it anything special. But inside that steaming cup is something extraordinary, the building blocks your joints have been begging for. When bones are simmered slowly, over 12, sometimes 24 hours, they release a wealth of nutrients. Collagen, the stuff your cartilage is made of. Gelatin, helps your joints absorb shock. Amino acids like glycine and proline reduce inflammation and support connective tissue repair. If your joints feel dry, tight, or creaky, bone broth works like oil in a stiff hinge. And here's something I didn't expect. It helped my gut too. The gelatin in bone broth strengthens your intestinal lining, which means fewer digestive issues and less systemic inflammation. Because when your gut's on fire, everything else flares up too. But this isn't just science, it's comfort. I started sipping bone broth in the evenings like tea. Just warmed it up with a dash of turmeric, some black pepper, and chopped parsley. Some nights, I'd make it into a full meal, add shredded chicken, spinach, garlic, and brown rice for a one-pot soup. Or drop in leftover roasted vegetables and lentils. Sometimes I'd even whisk in an egg for an easy, brothy scramble. No stress, no perfect recipe. Just warmth in a mug and relief in my knees. And over time, my body started to feel less fragile, less worn down. That slow, heavy morning stiffness started lifting. My joints didn't snap and protest as much. Even my posture improved. It wasn't dramatic. It was gentle, like someone slowly turning the volume down on pain. And honestly, the ritual of it mattered just as much as the nutrients. Sitting quietly, hands wrapped around a warm mug, knowing that every sip was helping me heal. It brought me a kind of peace that pain had taken from me for years. You don't need to make it from scratch, though that's wonderful if you can. Just look for high-quality store-bought options, the kind that simmered long and contain only ingredients you recognize. Healing doesn't always start with something big. Sometimes it starts with a small cup and a big decision to treat your body like it still matters. So here's what I've learned. You don't have to accept pain as the price of growing older. You don't need to wait for a diagnosis or prescription to start healing. Sometimes the most powerful medicine isn't a pill, it's a plate. And every time you choose to feed your body something that calms the fire, rebuilds the joints, or soothes the gut, you're not just helping your knees or hips. You're reminding yourself that you still matter. Because here's the truth. No matter how long it's been, no matter how far you've slipped into habits that left you feeling stiff, tired, or fragile, you can still come back. One bite at a time, one mug at a time, one walk at a time. The question isn't, is it too late? It's this. What might change if you just give your body a little of what it's been missing all along?